Also going to welcome Mark the Shark to the stage. We can't talk about sharks without an actual shark. It's okay, yeah, clap. He loves it. You can tell which one of us was hired for our moves. All right, also with us today is Royal Jones, Chief Executive Officer and President of Mesilla Valley Transportation. Dino Cervantes, Managing Vice President at Cervantes Enterprises. We also want to thank Mickey Clute, President of GenCon Corp. And Catherine Hansen, former Arrowhead Center CEO. I see you waving, that's cheating. All right, thanks again to our original Aggie Shark Tank founders. And now we also want to recognize the executive, university, and community leaders here with us who are great supporters of our entrepreneurship programs. I would recommend let's hold our applause till the end. We have a lot of folks to thank. We have Woody, Joshua, and Matt Hunt of the Hunt Family Foundation, NMSU Regent Amu Devastali, Dr. Monica Torres, NMSU Interim President, NMSU Provost, Dr. Lakshmi Reddy, Dr. Luis Cifuentes, NMSU VP for Research, Creativity, and Economic Development, Sherry Coleman, Interim Chancellor of NMSU System Community Colleges, Heather Wilson, President of the University of Texas at El Paso, Michael Dalby, Assistant VP for Innovation, Commercialization, and Economic Development at the University of Texas at El Paso. And we want to do some special recognition to the Arrowhead Center's Board of Directors and the NMSU faculty that is joining us today. They all worked very hard to bring you this show. So let's give everyone a round of applause. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we welcome an elite panel of individuals whose sharp instincts and keen business acumen have earned them the title of Sharks. I knew you were a fan. They may not have fins or swim in the ocean, much to Mark's chagrin, but their natural habitat is the business world, where deals are made and only the bold survive. So get ready to meet the investors who are as fierce as they are brilliant and prepare to dive into the deep waters of innovation. First up, let's welcome a shark whose expertise in early stage investment is as sharp as his sense of humor. I'm going to be counting the shark puns this year. Dr. Beto Payeras. With countless years at Arrowhead Center and a badge of honor as a Kauffman Fellow, Dr. Payeras knows the investment world like the back of his hand. As Arrowhead investor in residence, he expertly guides clients through the twists and turns of early stage funding, making it look easier than spelling entrepreneur on the first try, it's not that hard, I promise. We're grateful to have his wit, wisdom, and wallet here at Aggie Shark Tank today. So, one more round of applause for Beto. Next, we're going to welcome a shark whose keen instincts and entrepreneurial spirit have earned him a reputation for identifying high-potential startups. Bill Smallwood, please join us on stage. Bill is a seasoned investor and owner of Petroleum RX. Bill has built a portfolio of 45 investments over the past 6 years, supporting groundbreaking companies poised for growth. With a deep understanding of early-stage ventures, Bill is committed to helping startups scale and succeed. Thanks again, Bill. Next up, let's welcome someone who proves that age is not just a number when it comes to entrepreneurship. Isaac Romo. Is it true you're a senior at New Mexico State University? That's incredible. So majoring in economics, Isaac is already making waves as a self-made entrepreneur. His passion for startups and venture capital led him to become a scout for the Campus Founders Fund, where he hunts down the next big student-run businesses. Let's give a big hand for Isaac. All right. Now let's welcome a shark who proves that being a serial entrepreneur has actually nothing to do with true crime. Let's meet Chuck Blakeman, a man who's built 13 businesses across 4 continents. He's the best-selling author of Making Money is Killing Your Business and Why Employees Are Always a Bad Idea. As the founder of the Crankset Group, Chuck mentors small business owners worldwide, showing them that success isn't just possible, that it's actually inevitable with the right plan. So get ready for insight, laughs, and some serious business wisdom. Thanks again, Chuck, for being here with us today. Now, we also have some rules to go over before we begin. Aggie Shark Tank is an educational endeavor. It's designed to promote the innovative talent here in our region. While those pitching are providing details of a business idea that they would like to fund, no one in the audience here today is being solicited for investments in any way. Our sharks on stage, they are all accredited investors. And should they decide to pursue investment discussions further, the investment is subject to their due diligence. As for presenting, each entrepreneur, the folks waiting behind stage, they can't wait to meet you. They're going to have 5 minutes to pitch their idea. Then sharks, you're going to have 10 minutes to talk to them, pick their brains, ask them questions, discuss potential deals for support. I'm told there's a clock somewhere, and they might send me out to wave at you if we go over that 10 minutes. So just keep an eye out for the hair. In addition to any investments from our sharks, there will be 3 different awards. You want to give some money away? Yeah? Sweet. First up, it's the Shark Favorite Award of $5,000. It will be chosen by our expert panel of investors. This prestigious award recognizes the pitch that stands out as the most compelling and investment-worthy in the eyes of our sharks that are here with us today. Next is the Arrowhead Founders Award of $2,000. It's selected by Arrowhead staff and celebrates a pitch that exemplifies innovation, potential, and alignment with Arrowhead's mission. The award spotlights a contestant who demonstrates outstanding creativity and promise. And then this is where you all come in. This is why I recommended you silence your phone, not turn them off. We have the Crowd Favorite Award of $1,000. We invite you, our audience, to participate in the excitement by voting for your favorite pitch online. You're going to choose who wins this. This award reflects the contestant who captivates and resonates most with you, our audience. So you're going to be choosing the crowd favorite. So be sure to stay for a quick vote online after our presenters wrap up. And we also just want to thank our sponsors, the Hunt Center for Entrepreneurship, the FinTech Lab, powered by Newsenda Credit Union, and New Mexico Mutual. All right. Now, please help me by putting your hands and fins together for and welcoming our first participant, NMSU PhD students Mouin Afresmer, founders of, actually it's just Mouin today. Sorry, there was an update. Founders of WaterSpeccy, a portable solution for detecting heavy metal contamination in water, empowering users to understand their water quality. Mouin, stage is yours.
Thanks. Hey. Hello, sharks. How are you doing?
Great. Is that shark water?
Oh, yeah. I wish. Hello. Okay. Screw this. How's it going? Huh? Come on, give it up. All right, all right. So, my name is Moen, and it is my pleasure to be here in front of you all and the sharks, of course, to present our solution to water pollution. All right, so if I could have my slides, that would be perfect. I don't know. Huh? Okay, okay. Rookie play, all right. Okay, so our company is called WaterSpeccy, and nearly 1 in 2 Americans drink tap water with contamination. And on average, 1 in 12 Americans rely on private well, often lack sufficient, resources for proper water testing and treatment. So in 2014, in Flint, Michigan, 8,000 people, 8,000 children actually, were diagnosed with brain damage and skin cancer. That is harsh, I know. And the reason was drinking and bathing with the water that was contaminated with lead. So you can see it in the picture. It is disgusting, I know. And 99,000 other people were taken to the hospital. So residents of New Mexico drink water with elevated lead, arsenic, and uranium levels, significantly impacting their public health. And Santa Teresa, we are only 45 minutes away from Santa Teresa and Sunland Park. And in January, like I guess 10 months ago, this year, a lot of people have been rashes, losing a lot of hair, and a lot of other health problems. So there is a company called CRUA who is responsible for the water and the wastewater management in that area, and people have been drinking and bathing with the water contaminated with high level of arsenic for decades. They failed to do a good job. And people were taken to the hospital. Just imagine children having a rash all the time. Women losing a lot of hair. That's not something easy that you would cope with. And so the problem is the aging infrastructure that no one can ignore, and lack of water data. That's a problem. Government, especially the city of New Mexico and the governor, designed a 50-year plan for water quality testing, treatment, and management. But since 2 years ago that they decided to implement that plan, they failed again because they don't have sufficient data. So we are here to prevent something like in Flint, in Michigan, or in Santa Teresa happens again. So I believe it's a must, not something that we just care about and we say, okay, we're fine, let's see what's going to happen. But especially in rural areas, what happened? In rural areas, that people are more likely to be diagnosed and having problems such, contaminated water, drinking it, or, long exposure to it without them knowing about it. So the problem is lack of data, lack of information. We are here to just help the community and the government to have sufficient data to implement their plans, and they know that what's going on with the water. So current options are, there are some, let's say that you are buying or renting a house. So you're gonna pay $500, $600 to someone to inspect the house, plumbing and everything else. And they just use some colorful papers and they will just fail or they will pass your water quality. They just have a pamphlet, they're gonna match the color of that piece of paper that they put in the water sample that they took from your tap to see what's going on. But that is not definitely sufficient enough. So let me tell you guys this. We are having a application that is going to tell you what is in your water, in what amounts. It is portable. You can put it in your fanny pack, take it wherever that you want to test the water, take a sample, and just 3 buttons to push. That's all it takes. And in a minute, in 57 seconds on average, you're gonna know what's going on with your water. So I'm asking you sharks, are you still gonna swim in that pool without having that water tested? I'm really asking it. I guess you need to know what's going on with your water. That would be the next step to know, okay, how much it's gonna cost me. Let's say, okay, you wanna test your water. So no one here, I guess now, doesn't want to just drink or bathe with some water without knowing now what's going on with it. But push the brakes, hold on. It's gonna cost you $1,000 to take your water sample, each water sample, to the lab, to have the results, and it's gonna take you a month to know about it. And your children and your family are still gonna, use it. And if you wanna buy a sensor or any sort of device, it's gonna cost you $1,600 to $16,000. Now, I'm not sure how many of us could afford it. So, this is our team. My name is Moen, and these are my co-founders. And we are here to introduce you the WaterSpeccy, which is a cost-effective, quick, portable, and even an 8th grade can just work and use it. You're gonna just, in a minute, I said it again, 57 seconds, you're gonna look at your phone and you're gonna know what's going on with your water. What is it in the water and how much of it is in it. And it's not gonna be those complicated results that you get it from the lab, and you need a grad level of studies to understand it. So, I'm sorry, it seems that it's my time, so thank you so much. And for just wrapping up, just a second, our mission is to have a comprehensive map of geotagged information starting from the state of New Mexico and then expand it to the whole country to know what's going on and just send it to the stakeholders. This is the information you need to implement your plans. Whatever that you design it, now it's gonna be implementable. Thank you so much for listening to me and having me over here.
Bill, you want to take the first bite?
Yeah, you had a slide that you popped by that was put the pin in the water. Can you back up to that?
Oh, so, okay. So, if you want to know, it's just another app that you're going to install in your app on your phone. Let's say that figuratively, this is a cup of contaminated water that you have. You pin our electrode in it, and in a minute, boom, boom, boom. 3 buttons to push. Anyone could do it. And then you're going to know that what's going on your phone is going to be portable, connected wirelessly, and it's going to be a report, understandable report. Even an elementary student can understand it, not just some complicated data.
How is this different from, say, a variety of different test strips that you could buy now for $20? You get a box of 50 test strips and you could, essentially find what's in the water based on that.
That's a very good question. So let me tell you this. Let's say that you're going to pay $25 for that test kit, and then you're going to take it to your home, and you're going to see that it's a colorful kind of piece of paper. You're going to just put it in the water, and then you're going to just look at it. The color is going to change, and then you're going to match it in a pamphlet that it was posted with it, and then you said, okay, your water is good, not that bad, but it is okay. So what's going to be the next? How bad is it, or how good is the situation? And you're not continue monitoring your water quality. Our main purpose is to monitor every household in the United States to know what's going on and how their water quality is developing. And it's going to cost them only $5.
That implies that your results are going to be digital?
Yes, sir. So it's going to be a database connected to a cloud. And every test occurs, the data is going to be stored on the cloud. The user is going to have access to it. And then based on the GPT that we're going to design, the report is going to be sending to them in less than an hour, instead of waiting at least 3 weeks in the line for the lab results and spending $1,000 to know what's going on. And at the end of the day, you're going to have the report, but you cannot understand it. So it's going to be a digitalized data map that everyone can use it. The government, the community, and every household, and even other businesses.
I'm a cheap shark, so is the $5 price for both the hardware and the software, or are you planning on charging a different amount for the hardware?
Okay, that's a very good question. Let me tell you this. Let's say that we deploy 1,000 sensors within the whole country. Let's just divide them to 2 sites. It's going to be 500 accounts, paying only $100 subscription a year, and then we're going to charge them $2.50 per test. Or you're not going to pay for that $100 subscription as a premium user, and we're going to charge them $5. They're going to borrow the sensor, use it as many as they want, and then their data is going to be stored on the cloud and have access to it, and then we can just build up some prediction models, monitor them, and let them know what's going on. I'm hoping that I answered your question.
So the hardware is borrowed. So the way I'm understanding it is there's 500 accounts of which these people own the hardware, and you're borrowing it off of
Okay,
those,
let me
those
put it up
individuals.
like this. Now I understand your question. So it's going to be an app that they're going to install on their phone, and they're going to borrow the hardware because our hardware is cost effective, and we can afford borrowing to the people, and the maintenance is going to be free. So they can borrow it and just use it to test their water. And on their app, they're going to see their report. Very understandable, easygoing, user-friendly kind of report. Thanks.
How do they borrow the
sensor? Okay, so
through mail or they call somebody? How do they get that?
yeah, it's going to be, they can just go online. They can go to our website, or they can just install the app, and they can see it. There's just one button, say, I need help for my water. And that's it. They push it, someone is going to call them, or they can they can take the whole steps on the app, and they're going to just put their demographics, their address, and their card information, of course, and then we're going to shoot them the sensor, and we're going to post it, and they can just start using it. And for business to business, we're going to train someone that is already working in that business. Let's say that we have a home inspector who's been using that colorful papers for a while and charging you $600. So they're going to have the sensor, and we're going to train that person for free, and we're going to charge that home inspector for $2.50 only per test. And on average in the United States, every home inspector is investigating 12 houses a month. So they can just subscribe for $8 a month and spend $2.50, use the sensor as many as they want. And the report is going to be free for the home inspector. So that home inspector is going to be the moat in his market among all other inspectors, who's going to provide more information, more sophisticated, and then it's going to be follow-ups, the consultations that are going to be free service to that home inspector by charging $100 a year as a premium user.
You're doing business to business and business to consumer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
2 different markets. Going after. Well, are you going after? I'm buying a house in Las Cruces and it has a well. True story. And I want to find out whether the well has. Are you going to come to me personally, or are you going to the inspectors and they're going to do this with me? Are you going after households?
Okay, that's a pretty good question. So when we know that you want to test your water, we can send some person to your house to test it for you if you want to do it just once in a year. Or if you are worried about it, after you see the result with your water that you're not happy with it, so we consult you that you may need to use the sensor. So it's very tiny sensor, 3 buttons to push. We're going to train you, and you're going to keep it, and you're going to use it, and $2.50 a test. Let's say that you're going to test it once a month. And then we're going to monitor your house, the water quality, say, hey, this is the problem. You need the water treatment. Do you know anyone to buy a filter system for your house? Yeah, I do. If you don't, we can then consult you with the rest.
So are you going to send somebody out to my house, or are you going to get an inspector and do
Either
it through
or.
them?
It's going to be either or. First, it's going to be someone at your house do it for you. And then if you would like to keep testing your water, then our consult is going to be that you need to keep the sensor.
I'm asking because it sounds expensive to have somebody come to my house just to do that $2.50 or $5 test.
We have 109,000 cities in the whole country. So in each city, let's say when we get to that point that we deploy 10,000 sensors, so every city we can have an office, we can send someone to your house any time of day, schedule it, and use it. Before that, we can post you the sensor, and you can use it yourself because it's very user-friendly, and anyone can use it.
So, I mean, I like clean water going through my gills just like the next shark. But, if I live in a neighborhood and I find my neighboring shark test their water and it's fine, chances are my water's fine because we're getting our water from the same reservoir, right? So I'm having trouble understanding how you're going to scale this business. Mm-hmm. See what I did there? Scales. How we're going to scale this business, right? With a very, low-cost product.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, So let's say that we have 1,000 accounts within the whole country. We're going to start with New Mexico. We're going to just test every household in the rural area. That would be the start point. And then when we get to your house to test it, and then you're going to use our sensor. And then we have set up a kind of digitalized data set. We're going to send it to our stakeholders, from governor to the professor at NMSU, anyone within the state of New Mexico who is responsible or worried about the water quality. And then they're going to know that we are here. We're going to have our credibility. And then let me show this to you. In the first year, with 500 accounts being a premium user and 500 other accounts spending only $5 a test, we're going to have $1.1 million revenue in the first year. And in 5 years, that's our goal, to deploy 10,000 sensors all over the United States. Every city, one office has many of them, and then they're going to just send it to some people, post it to some people, use it, or they're going to train some business people like, I don't know, let's say that you're going to buy a house on Zillow. You're going to have the information over there because Zillow is working with us. And on top of everything about the house, you're going to know about the water quality, the health insurance companies, the hospitals. On top of everything that a hospital having your medical history, they're going to have information about the water that you've been drinking.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have. So, Shark, so we're going to take a bite.
I think this is obviously an important endeavor. Don't drink that; doesn't look like. It's an important endeavor, but I'm still not grasping the, how much money it takes to get to this scale. What do I get as a shark for that? I mean, I think from an advocacy perspective, it makes a lot of sense. But we didn't even touch on what's the state of the current business right now. Do you have the app? Do you have the sensor? And the like, right? So, for me, it's I'd like to know more. So I'd love to engage later and know more. But it's still too early for me to determine whether I have interest.
I like the concept. I like the fact that there's such a differential in convenience and cost into which you can disrupt. I also sense that you can scale to a point without a lot of money, that you don't need to raise millions and millions to even make a dent. I think you can get hundreds or thousands of these out there on a relatively tight budget. So I like it.
I think talking about water quality is a fantastic idea and topic, but like Beto said, I don't see the scalability at the moment. I think there's, if you would like to, I'd like to speak with you further and understand the whole concept and the whole idea a little bit better, and possibly bring you onto our team. But as of right now, I would still need a better understanding.
I love the idea, and I want you to come out to the house I'm buying to see what the well. Sure. So I can actually experience the product. I am concerned, as the other sharks have been, that even though sharks don't have scales, this has a scalability issue. And I think there's something to play with there, but I'm concerned that you're going after two very different markets all at once. You might want to consider going after just the business to business or the business to consumer to begin with, and then broaden out. In 1955, McDonald's had 4 products. Now they have 200 and some. So you might want to start with something a little narrower. But I'm interested to see how this could go, and I'd love to see more about not just the revenue but the costs, because I'm trying to figure out how you send somebody out to my house and all these other houses without that becoming very expensive. So I love that there's 1.1 million in revenue, but if there's 1.2 million in costs, we're in trouble. So I'd love to see that part of it as well.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you all too, and you should great evening.
Let's hear it from Owen.
Thank you.
Great work. All right, next up, we have NMSU graduate student John Noel, founder of Project Maldonado, a pioneering company focused on the development of customizable 3D printed orthopedic medical devices. John, the stage is yours. Good luck.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Oh, shoot, it's loud. Hi, my name is John Noel, and I'm the CEO and founder of Project Maldonado. Now, just a quick show of hands before we get started. How many people here have had an orthopedic device like a medical brace or a cast, or know somebody that has? Okay. Well, here at our company, we know that it's a big issue. It leads to a whole bunch of problems such as decline in healthcare, more health costs, it just destroys people's daily lives. And here at Project Maldonado, we just want to fix that issue. So the current process of trying to get an orthopedic device that's tailored to you, we're focusing right now on medical braces, is you have to go in, do the initial consultation, and then you have to get a referral to an orthopedic specialist. After you go through that, you have to go through a fitting. And then once you go through the fitting, you have to sit through the adjustment. You don't know how long that will take. And then you get your brace. But if any part of that process is messed up, then you have to start over from step 3 and over again until you get something that fits, or you just have to stick with it. Why is this a problem? Well, it's just, even though it's tailored and you worked with a specialist to get it, it may just be a generic one if you don't go to, if you just skip steps 4 through 6. You just get a generic one, but if you go through steps 4 through 6, it may just be uncomfortable and not something you use often, which makes the injury worse, and that leads to longer recovery times. And in addition, if you try to go through the process of getting a customized medical device, it costs between $500 to $5,000 or even more. So what is our company and what are we trying to accomplish? It's simple. We are just trying to make 3D printed medical devices using 3D scans. How is this done? It's simple. You create a profile, you put your injury or the information if you want to put it. You conduct a scan on said body part, whether it be your arm or your leg or whatever body part you want, and then we create a customized medical device for you. This is an example of kind of the core concept of it, of how it works. I can't go into too much detail just because we submitted a patent, and we are in the process of working on we submitted a provisional patent, and we're in the process of working on a utility patent for our software. Sharks, if you'd like to see a demo after this, I can show it to you on the side. So who's the current competition? Well, it's the traditional medical braces that you see at Walgreens or Walmart. And we also are going against people who create basically traditional braces, but through 3D manufacturing. There's nothing special to it. They just print it through a 3D printer and then send it out, and then it's just the same thing. And then we go through, like I said earlier, the wholesale competition, where you have to go through all those steps, and again, it can cost anywhere from $500 up. This is an example of our competition. You have Stryker and Zimmer. They're the ones, again, that make the ones at Walgreens and Walmart. And that DJO is Donjoy, who makes 3D printable medical devices. But again, they still aren't customizable and they still cost a lot. So what is the objectives of this company? Is just to get people help faster in a short amount of time so that they can just get back to where they want to be and not break the bank while doing this. Our goal is just to help anyone and everyone who needs it. So this is the team that's working on me, the founder and CEO. I'm going to be working on setting up the systems, and I'm working with 2 individuals who have 2 decades of experience working at 5 Fortune 500 companies with CAD and front software, and they're working on the software with me. These are our milestones. Just important one, we did Aggie Corp to work on customer discovery. We did a feasibility study here at NMSU, and we are also working with Sandia National Labs to do validation testing on our MVP. Business model, we are either going to sell direct to consumers, or we're going to help them basically build a franchise where we're going to license the software and or build a franchise where they can use the software and print for, if somebody wants to pick up locally instead of waiting for us to ship it, they can print it locally. We'll go have training for them to have the proper steps to print it and make sure the device comes out right. Our current market will be the orthopedic market in the US, which is 11.8 billion, and for 3D printing, it's 244 million, but this number's a little behind. It's around 270 right now. This is our target market, military, athletes, and elderly. These are the people who are going to need this type of device the most. And our call to action for the Sharks is 10% for $200,000. Right now, we are bootstrapping everything, and we made it this far. We're now working on our second patent. We're already talking to the lawyer about setting up the paperwork for the 3rd and the 4th, so for other orthopedic devices. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions, but first of all, I'm really excited because as a shark, right, when we bite people in the ocean, they lose limbs. This is great for us. But first, how did you come up with Project Maldonado as a name?
So project I didn't know what to call this endeavor, and Maldonado is the name of the person I developed this company for. They had they were an athlete, not here, but in Highlands, but they lost it due to a soccer injury. And they could have went back, but they didn't wear their medical brace, and the injury just got worse, and it changed their life, and I just decided I wanted to do something about that.
Very cool. Well, my first question is, how many orthopedic doctors have you talked to, and do you have any testimonials from them? What is that process like? Because I imagine that all those large companies you showed there have relationships with the doctors and the hospitals and whatnot. And, how are you going to navigate reaching your end customer? I know you want to go to the end user, but at some point, I assume they have to interact with an orthopedic doctor.
So this device is actually Class 1 exempt, so they actually don't have to go to a doctor. In addition, with our software, it is letting you build a device, so we don't need to go through an orthopedic specialist to produce this. But I did just get off a phone call, not a phone call, Zoom call this morning with somebody at UNM, and they're going to help with pre-clinic trials, and we're going to be working with orthopedic specialists to just get that, not to verify, but to endorse our product, basically.
What's your cost relative to your competition? Do you have any basis for that yet?
No, right now we're looking about $200 per device, but that's just because we're going, if you have your own printer, it's going to only cost about $200 or less. If we're going somewhere else, it's going to cost maybe $500 to print. But if we wholesale or have agreements with organizations, then it will cost less. Right now, just because we're just printing to testing, it costs more. But once we figure out like how we're going to do our franchise distribution, or if we start our own factory, it's going to cost us maybe like $50 per brace, and then we can sell at any price point. I'm not going to go too crazy because I want people to actually afford this, but there's, sky's the limit.
How do I know about you? How do I find out about you? Because I just lost a leg, or I lost an arm, and I'm not looking, I haven't been looking my whole life for this. How do I find you? How do you find me when I need you?
Well, people who just go and look up 3D printable medical devices, that's the goal. We haven't put it out there that much because on the back end, just staff-wise, it was very hard to find people with the capabilities. I've done over 100 interviews, and just last May, I finally found a team that could actually work on this. So it's been kind of a struggle. And the fact that we're doing we have to finish submitting this last patent. We're working on the next one, or the next two right now. We will be starting our social media campaign and the same scale as like the closer we're done, the closer we'll ramp up to social media, because we'll be patented.
You said the cost was going to be, right now, it's roughly between $200 and $500. You estimate the cost to be around roughly $50 in the future. What are you estimating to sell the product for?
That's a good question. That would depend on how fast we scale. If we somehow like get a grant and are able to develop a whole factory out here in Las Cruces, then we can sell it at like $500, just to say a price. But again, it's more of, we don't want to break the bank on everybody who really needs this product. From the customer discoveries, I just saw a need, and it's a lot of people who can't, or just using health insurance, or their health insurance won't cover something like this. So we'll have to do a little bit more. Around $500 is, from the customer discovery and the feasibility study that we conducted, is a reasonable price. But again, that depends on scalability.
You said health insurance doesn't cover it?
For all medical braces, no. They cover some. It just depends on your health insurance. Like Medicaid, you can probably get a generic one, but if you need something tailored to you, like say if you had a torn ACL, or this is a customer, torn ACL, then you wore a brace, and then as soon as you got healed, 6 months later, another torn ACL, then that's a whole new process, because you would need one for the new leg, and the fact that you have to like redistribute the weight because you just tore your other ACL. So we want to, like a system like that, we want to be able to be like, okay, we know what your problem is, it's in our profile. We're not going to charge you a whole bunch, because it would just be the same thing in reverse on both sides. You would just mirror it, and we can try to cut you a deal so that you can afford it and get back to where you need to be. Now for athletes and people who have the money, I plan to work on a nanomaterial that's like 10 times the strength. I'll be working with Sandia and UNM on that, just to work on a custom nanomaterial. That will like bring it to the next level, kind of like a computer chip, i5 to i7. You can want the better one if you want, just because you want it. It will do a little bit more, but the same core concept will still be the same.
What did your provisional patent cover?
It covers the core design, the science and math that we put behind it.
So do you consider your scanning software the secret
No,
sauce
so the
here?
scanning software, we don't really need a provisional because you can just get a 3D handheld scanner anywhere, or not anywhere, but you can pick one up from a factory. The basis for our software, sorry, go back. For this is our 1.0 version, but this is what we got our patent on, the math behind it, how it works, how it stays proper on a person's body, why it doesn't fall off, and how and why it offers that protection.
How'd you get to a $2 million valuation?
It was mostly just getting the rest of the company to where it needs to be. I believe it's probably going to be worth more as long as we market it right and we can help more people. But the $2 million is just for us because we've just been bootstrapping it all this time, to get our feet are on the ground, we'll take off and soar and be able to scale this at any scale we want to. We'll have enough people to work on this around the clock instead of just, I'm paying here and there, and they do as much as they can. They take some of their time from their work just to help me out. I would just be able to pay off the people and hire more people to get this product done faster, get our patents done faster as well.
Have you looked at how other software-ish companies enter similar markets? And do you have any comparisons to that? Is this the way they enter a market? They license the software, or are they building a factory to build, the 3D printed products and the like? How did you arrive at that as the right model?
That customization factor, I just see it's important. I see that people, even if they like their brace, after a while, there's certain just things that only they know. Like you wear a shoe, you got to break it in, but it's got that one spot. If you step on the wrong step, it itches your foot. Nobody's going to know that but the customer. That's what we want to help them solve, because you tell your doctor there's only so much they can do. But if you have hands-on, the ability to do what you need to hands-on, then you'll solve your own issue. And for the other part, for other people in the market, so far, no. I'm still going to do more research. There are a lot of 3D printing medical brace companies. That's kind of like the target market, but when it comes to that niche market, I haven't really been able to find more of that. But once I work with UNM and Cindy, I'm going to start doing a little bit more research to see where we can compare and contrast and, beat them.
What would keep Stryker or one of the others from doing this and basically making it difficult for you to even get in?
Because they have a system in place, the traditional medical braces, they could have done it at any point in time. 3D printing technology has been taken off, and in healthcare it's been taken off. They just chose not.
That's a good answer, because a lot of times it is something that they could do easily, and yet they're stuck in their legacy thinking. It could be years before they decide that this is a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
We are at time, so Sharks, decisions.
This is not an area I'm terribly familiar with. I have like one contact that I could make, that makes prosthetics for third world countries. Lives in El Paso. They have a foundation that does that. Maybe they can help you understand a little bit more about the market. Again, they make prosthetics and they do it for third world countries. But it's not an area I'm terribly familiar with. I do know that there's a company called 3D Systems that makes 3D printed medical grade implants. So there's a market for that, but those are really, really expensive. I just don't know enough to, want to take a bite out of this one.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned about the barriers to entry to other players that, would want to do the same thing. But I'd recommend that you get in contact with me later. I'm on the board of a company called Heart and Clinics that's talking to other medical device solutions and so on with an eye to giving them exposure and so on. We're already talking to to a similar thing, this prosthetics out of Canada that we're talking of partnering with, and so maybe there's something productive we could do for you in terms of giving you some exposure.
All right.
I think it's a great idea, but it is a little bit capital intense for me. I usually don't dive too deep into companies that would require a lot of capital in order to even start up. So for that reason, it wouldn't be something that I would bite at. But like I said, still a great idea, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you. Clarification, we already started. We don't need capital, it's just make things faster.
John, I love what you're doing. I love your passion. I love the way you've named this. That's your marketing. Is you named this after someone who got failed by the industry, and you could solve that for them. So I just love that, and I love your desire to do this for people without taking too much money and all that. I think you got a lot of work to do on how you want to get this out there. You mentioned licensing versus franchising. It's a big decision in front of you. I think you got to do a lot of work on modeling what this is going to make, the profit it's going to make, because it sounded like the $2 million that you wanted was basically to help you get where you needed to go. And valuations are built on profit, not on cost. So it might cost you $2 million to get this out there, but love to see some modeling on, okay, once you get there, what's this going to be worth?
Gotcha.
Love what you're doing.
Thank you very much, John. Let's hear it for John. Got a dodge up here. All right, now please help me in welcoming UTEP students Arat Fraga and Madison Jaquez, co-founders of Clean, a forward-thinking company dedicated to creating a groundbreaking testing device that identifies harmful chemicals in everyday products. Come on out, you two.
Hello, hello, New Mexico!
Hey, everyone.
Man, I must say, Madison, everybody looks really sharp today.
Oh, yeah, especially these sharks. They're looking really sharp.
Madison, can I share with you what I did today to look this clean?
Yes, Arat, tell me your routine.
Okay, well, I took a shower using my 3-in-1 shampoo, maybe a few here might know about it. Then applied some moisturizer so my skin wouldn't be that dry. Applied some sunscreen, today was sunny. And that what you smell is either my new detergent or my new cologne.
Wow, Arat, that sounds like a lot of products that you used, but basically the same as everyone else. But do you even know what's in your products?
I mean, I read the back ingredients label on the products, but I never know what they mean.
Well, Arat, there's actually over 85,000 man-made chemicals that are in our products that the market can choose from to use. And out of these, many of them are actually endocrine disruptors, which means that they can contribute to detrimental health risks, including cancer. Did you know about this?
I didn't know about that, Maddie.
You know what? It's not your fault that you don't know about this. The problem is a lack of unawareness. Many of us don't even think about it, and that's because there's a lack of transparency. Companies don't even include all of the chemicals that they're using or what's in their containers. And this can contribute to health risks because we're not able to choose which is the healthier product. The only solution to this is to create a cleaner solution.
And that's why we came up with Clean. Clean is an app that's going to help you choose the best products out there. And it's really easy to use. You're going to scan the barcode of the product. The app is going to break down the ingredients for you. And depending on the chemicals and the ingredients it contains, it's going to give you a rating between 1 to 10, as well as with recommendations.
Okay, so scan, define, and recommend. That sounds like 3 simple steps, basically as easy as your 3-in-1 shampoo, right, Arat?
Yeah.
So because this is such a convenient app to use, it is going to be able to spread education through all ages, which will lead to increased awareness on what's actually in our products. From there, everyone can make an educated change and decide on what to purchase for yourselves and for your loved ones.
And what's great about it, Maddie?
The best part is that it's free. Scan, define, recommend, all of that is free to use. But how are the sharks going to get their money?
Great question, Maddie. Well, there is going to be a premium version of it. That's going to be $3.99 a month or $30 a year. which is gonna come with additional features such as you looking for any product that's in the database, and it's also gonna bring more educational resources for the user.
That's great, but there are also lots of competitors on the market, like Yucca and Think Dirty. How does Clean blast them out of the water?
Well, yes, these are some of the best apps out there, but still they fall short. For example, Think Dirty, it has a really complex way of breaking down the ingredients for you, and Yucca do not even have educational resources for the user out there. That's why we want Clean to be a more user-friendly app that's gonna bring more resources and guides to help you make better decisions when you go out there shopping.
That's awesome. And the way that Clean is going to enter into the market is through the US personal care and beauty market. This is because it's a really hot topic and it's trending. I'm sure, Sharks, have you seen, as you've scrolled through your social media, that you've seen forever chemicals, PFAS, phthalates, even heavy metals that are in your favorite hair gel or in your cosmetics. Because people know about this, it'll be easy to enter into the market. From there, we can expand into the US health and wellness market, and after that, go global. Now, this is actually the cumulative work of 2 years, and this is through research and discovery as well as customer validation, including some competitions that we won, right, Arat?
Correct. We actually won the National Black Zone Launchpad Ideas competition in 2023. Then we were semifinalists on the Global Hold Prize competition, and we also did the NSFI Corp along with the SCTE Accelerator program.
The most important thing, though, that we did in these 2 years was actually pivot our design from a device to an app so that it could be best for our B2C customers, health-conscious individuals such as yourselves.
Yes, and what we're trying to do next is gonna be bring a CTO to the team, develop the app in 2025, and launch it that same year so that in 2027, we can have around 33,000 users, which is gonna be a revenue of $1 million.
Yes. Thank you for your time. My name is Madison Hawkes. I'm a biomedical engineering PhD student.
My name is Arad Fraga. I'm a senior at the University of Texas at El Paso, majoring in business management with a concentration in entrepreneurship and minor in marketing. Nonetheless, to mention all the help from our amazing board of advisors with great knowledge and experience in key industries and areas for this business.
Sharks, today we invite you to invest $100,000 for 10% of our company to invest in a cleaner future for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought this was great because when I bite someone in the ocean and they've eaten all this stuff or wear all this stuff with chemicals, it gives me indigestion. So I think it's really good. I like that you had a couple of competitions, but while you were speaking, I looked up, did a Google search, and there were about 20. So, at the end of the day, it's really how are you going to get this to the market to get that 33,000 users you want and get that revenue? So what's your plan for that to really escalate adoption?
So what we're planning on doing is doing a much of community engagement. That's one of the advantages that Think Dirty has. It's one of their, competitive advantages. So we want to do this kind of like a similar way of being open with the community, have a broader audience because their market segment is only women in the 20s and 30s. So we want to be a little bit more broad. And the way that we plan to do that is also by doing more ads, social media, influencing, through influencers, and that's pretty much the plan that we have.
On top of this, compared to our competitors, we have the educational advantage. So what they offer in awareness, they don't really bring according to actually explaining to the consumer, which is our main target.
I'm skeptical because this seems hard. It seems hard to do this in a way to amass that kind of data and to curate that kind of data and to keep up to date with things. Can you address the cost that you foresee in sustaining this?
Yes, so a little bit of the cost that we have been talking with different developers, it's around $15,000 to $20,000 a month for maintenance, app development, and everything. We haven't gone in that deeper so far, so we don't have a specific cost for now, but as we work on it, that's what we currently have as for cost.
Yeah, but how do you amass the data?
The way that we do it is, I'm not the CTO expert, that's why we're bringing somebody to the table to do all about the coding and the web tasks, but so far with my research, it's been through a web database that the company is gonna have. So we're going to have like all the products in that database, and that's going to be connected with the app.
On top of this, the chemicals that we're mentioning, they are not typically actually even tested in the product. So we are going to be pairing up with a laboratory that is able to be doing those additional testing for us to create the database. This is going to be over, how we said, over the cumulative year, because we are going to need to collect that information before it's ready to be shared with the public. That's why we were trying to do a lot of customer validation in this previous work, so that we can make sure that the chemicals that we're targeting for identification are actually trending, so that it's important for the public and that it's correlating with the health risks.
Have you done any break-even analysis on we need X amount of customers before we start to actually make money or anything like that?
So our break-even point, we don't have that yet, pretty much because we haven't like structurized the cost so far. But mainly with the research that we have done is going to be around $2 for the customer acquisition.
So on top of that, then you got to figure out how much it's going to cost,
Yes.
and then the profit that comes from that.
Correct.
Where are my $100,000 going if I do give it to you guys?
Great question. So our main priority right now is going to be app and marketing, as well as customer acquisition, customer retention, and community engagement. So we're going to be working together, building the app, and also doing community engagement, doing more marketing, and putting, our app out there, having some more exposure. So that's where it's going to be going.
Have you thought about the food industry for any of this?
I'm sorry?
Have you thought about the food industry for any of this? Because the chemicals in food are...
Yes, actually, it works with food because there's different products for food that have the barcode and also have the ingredients. So it's feasible.
The database is, that's why we're saying that it's going to take a while, because we're not just we begin with targeting the most trending topics, such as the cosmetics and stuff like that. And as we expand, it'll go into, because even clothing, the idea started with clothing, that there are harmful chemicals that are present there. And so we want to make sure that all of the products are going to be able to be labeled, but this will take time. We're in the development stage.
Could you do me a favor and go back to your competitors' slide?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this is interesting to me. However, you don't have a technical founder that like a CTO, right?
Correct.
And many things break down in that, and that's something that I feel you shouldn't outsource. So I would be interested in continuing to speak to you guys when you identify or when you're close to identifying a technical founder,
Okay.
because that person is going to be able to answer questions related to the cost of the app, the cloud computing that you need to host, and the storage, and getting it on the App Store and on Google Play and whatnot, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's a challenge on its own, right? I'm confident you guys understand the problem from the, you got to collect all this data to be able to reference it and whatnot. And then your go-to-market's also, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Beto, on that. To add a little bit, we're in the process, actually. We have had a few already interviews for CTOs, but I mean, you're the shark. You know who to bring to the team and who not to bring to the team, so it's hard. But we're there. We're already in the process for that.
One more question. So 100,000 is not that much money. So are you guys just going to eat ramen for like a year and not pay yourselves? How does that work?
Well, we've actually have had some discussions for that, and we would say that for at least like a year or two, we're willing to, put everything into the company and live off of ramen, but organic ramen though.
I was going to say it's not sodium.
We'll cook it ourselves.
I would echo that same comment, that your valuation's so low that a lot of people won't take you seriously, and it's not enough runway to do much. So yeah, I agree that you'd be better off to find some way to get to the point where you can justify something like a $2.5, $4 million valuation somehow, so you don't have to give up so much to get some real money. I'm still skeptical because I don't understand the data part, and it would take more questioning and so on. But it seems to me that if the data's not already out there that you can tap and you solve the data, that it's the data that's worth more than your app.
Exactly.
And I still see that as a hard task. So just color me skeptical, but willing to learn more.
Okay.
Is any part of this, maybe I missed this, any part of this patentable?
So we have had a few discussions with some lawyers right now, but since it's a software, we haven't like been so prioritized into the patent that way. And it all started because we were doing the device, so we were trying to file a patent for that device, but then we pivoted to the app, and we're trying to find or do a patent with the app, but they told us like, well, I mean, it's software, so yeah.
I like the idea. I asked for the competitors list because I was going to look up how many people they have. It looks like Yucca has 58 million users currently. If you were to acquire, I did some calculations, just quick numbers. If you were to acquire 10 million of those users, you'd be bringing in roughly $40 million. I like that the market is big enough for you to even take 5% of it and bring in a good amount of revenue. I'd like to do more due diligence on it and bring you guys onto our team, and upon passing a 2 rounds of due diligence, possibly invest within you guys. So yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Awesome.
And I'll offer an afternoon of talking to some programmers. There's a company in El Paso called El Paso Labs that is outsourced development. I'm not saying hire them, I'm saying talk to them and say, walk me through what it takes to build that. And then when you're ready to hire or bring on board a CTO, you get someone like El Paso Labs to help interview that person. So you know that they know the language that you want to program in and whatnot. And happy to walk you through. I'd like to, if you have a more detailed business plan, I'd like to learn more about that. And then, my diligence process is usually a few months. But, in exchange for what would be, cleaner people in the ocean that I can take a bite off, I'm willing to look at that.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. We're clean. Peace.
Oh, great job. Amazing presentation. All right, up next, we have NMSU alumni John Martinez and Dan Derry, co-founders of Tactus, an innovative company at the forefront of music education technology, specializing in the development of a sophisticated progress tracking device for string instruments. Stage is yours, you two.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Sharks. Thank you so much for having us.
Good afternoon, Sharks. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we start, I just had a little question, because I'm not from New Mexico. Green or red? No, I'm kidding. But I do have a question. How many of you feel that you really know what your voice sounds like? Have you heard your voice recently? Were you a little bit surprised? Well, generally, people are, and I believe it's because of perception. We all have perception. My name is Dan Derry. I'm a graduate of the Juilliard School. I'm a concert violinist for 30 years and teacher, and I'm very proud to present to you Tactus, a company imagined by musicians with engineers to bring sports science and technology to musicians. It's very well documented, the results of sports science in the world of sports. We believe, we never started. We're here. We believe it's time to bring sports science technology to musicians. Like the very famous pianist and conductor Leon Fleischer said, musicians are athletes of little muscles. Before proceeding, I would like to introduce John Martinez, my co-founder. John?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dan. Yes, my name is John Martinez. I'm actually a New Mexico State University alum. I received my bachelor's and master's degree in mechanical engineering here. I currently work in the space industry, working on guidance, navigation, and control algorithms for spacecraft, as well as mechatronics. I'll also be introducing our senior software lead, Chris Camargo, who recently joined the team. Chris has 10 years of experience in the aerospace industry, working with NASA JPL. He has code on the Europa Clipper mission, as well as the Mars lander. We're very excited to have him on the team.
Thank you, John. Music is a lifelong journey, and it's not a very easy one at that. At the early stages, we find that we have about a 50% dropout rate, mostly because of frustration, challenges practicing, lack of feedback. For those who continue, we have a staggering 69% who struggle with repetitive strain injury, and 100% of teachers find themselves giving the same lesson every week. And do you know why? It's like your voice. Perception, habit. It's very hard to break. Currently, the best solution, undoubtedly, is teachers. They come with skill, they address the students' needs, help them with their pain points, but you only see them once a week. They don't live with you. Mobile apps, applications, although they have sometimes remarkable content, don't address your individual needs, your pain points. They're based on a one-size-fits-all model. That's the competitive edge of Tactus. Our devices are placed on the musical instrument, on the bow, and provide the user information about their problems, about what they're doing, shows them the way forward. We're very proud to present Tactus devices that are poised to revolutionize music education and performance. John, you want to maybe talk to us a little bit about Tactus Vision?
Absolutely.
This is the
So
initial
we're very
device.
proud to present Tactus Vision, our first product to market. So Tactus Vision has first-of-a-kind sensors directly integrated into the device body, which we are able to 3D print. This, combined with the sensors that are enclosed in the electronics package that we have, are able to characterize all of the points of force application to the instrument, the data in terms of the orientation, the roll, the speed, the location, and using all of this data, we're able to characterize exactly what the player is doing to make the music happen. Really, really understand the magic behind the music. And
The way it works?
the way it works is very simple. You simply place the device onto your bow, your existing bow, turn on the app, sync it up, play your instrument, and you immediately begin getting data from Tactus Vision. So with Tactus Vision, you have intelligence in the form of scientific data, which reduces your reliance on human perception. This allows you to take science-backed action through the feedback that you receive, both visual and tactile, and drives your learning, which allows you to be the best musician you can be, and success breeds success.
Our business model is based on a device with a COG of $50, which corresponds to roughly, well, not roughly, exactly, 20% of our recommended retail price at $250. And this comes with an app that gives all the basic functions. And then we have, for the more serious players, a subscription app that is going to provide AI analytics, benchmarks, practice logs, etc. I'm imagining, many people here studied a musical instrument at some point, and you might even be playing today. However, you're not going to be in a database, or a few of you will be. So keeping that in mind, we're estimating the TAM at 20 million plus string musicians in the world, and we'll focus today on the obtainable market, which is 3 million string players who on average have an annual expenditure of $2,000 on their annual training that's divided between lessons, maintenance, accessories, and instruments whose price can vary from $500 or less, actually, up to $16 million. We're very proud to announce that our objectives for 2024 have been reached. We have some things to tweak, but a month and a half to go. And we expect to start testing our devices in small control groups early 2025, which will lead us to a soft launch in 2026. Since COVID-19, the online music education demand has skyrocketed, and this impacts string education. String sales are expected to reach a market of $24 billion by 2032. And we're in line with our traction roadmap for a full launch in 2027 with an estimated, with your help, turnover of $3.9 million. Our call to action is $250,000 in convertible notes with a $5 million valuation cap, 20% discount, 3% interest, and a 24-month maturity. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Studio G and Carlos Cuesta.
I think this is great. I myself play a number of instruments. I have trouble conceptualizing how the device would work. Would it alter the weight on or the handling of the bowl?
So currently we have a device that's functional. So what you have over there, all the sensors are embedded in that. So what you're holding there has all the sensors. So all the weight is going to be in these electronics, which need to be miniaturized, which is part of the reason for an ask. But it's not a big deal. There's nothing actually that revolutionary, I think it's safe to say, in the electronics themselves. That's what's revolutionary. And it's patented. Now, even with this unit, which this entire unit weighs as much as a frog, the black thing is a frog, because it's on the hand itself, you don't feel much of it. I played all kinds of very difficult things, which I'm happy to show if you want, I have a violin, and it actually doesn't get in the way.
So to maybe finish, support what Dan was mentioning, a lot of the inspiration for this came from, again, sports science. So one of the things that I experienced semi-recently, I'm a little bit new to golf, so I went in for a lesson. It was a normal lesson at a field, and the teacher who I hired was just looking at me, and he was like, that looked pretty good. Maybe you're doing this, maybe you're doing that. Hard to say exactly. Come back next week. I booked another lesson at another lesson place where they had the cameras, they had the radar, TrackMan, all that system, and it was a revelation, because suddenly on screen it was like, this is the angle of your club, this is your path angle, and I know the theory behind how you hit a good golf shot. Now I know exactly what I'm doing. I know that I need to make this specific change, and it was like instant connection between what I'm doing, what I want to be doing, how to do it.
So I'm going to geek out on you. In one of my earlier versions of my life, I was a symphonic musician, and went to Cleveland. I didn't go to business school. I went to Cleveland Institute of Music, Eastman School of Music, Curtis.
Oh, Curtis is not a bad school.
A couple other places. My sister plays in the viola in the San Francisco Symphony.
Oh, fantastic.
I was a clarinetist, so I played cello as a young guy, so I get a little of this. I don't have any problem with the weight. I get that would be on the frog, and you wouldn't have any. I'm wondering, even though this looks like it's like a 16th or 32/32 of an inch, does that texturing and that broadening out of that, does that create any issues when you finally take it off and you start to play without it?
No. So it's
because it is tiny muscles. To your point, it's tiny muscles we're dealing with here.
Yeah, of course. Well, a bow is sometimes a difference between, especially if it's in the tip, a difference of even 2 grams. 1 gram I can actually feel. Yeah. This device is actually a little bit thicker than the final one's going to be. So it's going to be roughly at 0.38 millimeters, okay, which is, well,
it's negligible.
Beyond negligible. So you take 3 pieces of paper from your printer, you put them together. That's roughly it. And it's going to weigh at under 3 grams, I think, that actual one?
Yeah, it's maybe around 3 or 4 grams.
So like, if you tell me you're going to put it on the tip, now that's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're putting it here, your hand weighs a hell of a lot more than that. So the challenge is actually just to make sure that the texture doesn't get in the way. But like, no, I actually kept one of those devices on my violin and on my bow. It's a beautiful bow. And I didn't take it off for 3 months. And I play roughly between 6 and 8 hours a day, and it was never a problem.
And right now it's only for violins?
So this exact model is adaptable. We just have to change the dimensions for violin, viola, and cello.
And how do you, I'm sorry if I'm boring people with all this geeky stuff, but since I know enough to be dangerous, how do you actually use the software to communicate? I'm thinking of schools of music, like in clarinet, there's the French, there's the German, there's the American, there's 4 different schools of playing, and is your software designed to teach you one of those schools, or is it agnostic?
So this device, so you have schools and then you have physics. So if you're playing the cello, you're playing the violin, whatever, there's a string, it has to move, and whatever your school is, it's going to impact. So if we're talking, sorry, you guys are going to like pass out of boredom. If you're talking, so if you're talking Russian school, so they're going to be like this, and if you're talking like more German or Belgian, it's going to be a little bit more square. But the process is going to be the same. You have to use weight, you have to get into the string, and you have a relationship between the weight and the speed. Now, whether you're holding it like this or if you're holding it like that, the discussion is the same. So what we're doing is we're revealing the forces applied on the bow. From here, we calculate the weight, and currently we can't show it on the device, but you can see here, right? You'll see that the moving once you're playing doesn't really help, but it shows where you press. Like here, if I change the thing, you see the sensor goes on, and you'll have a range. So like when I teach people, I have students for the one that's right now in the Munich Conservatory. He's a fantastic violinist. He holds the bow really, really hard. And then like it creates all kinds of challenges. So in a lesson, you guide him through it. He frees it up. Great player, smart guy, no problem. Comes back the next week, and I'm like, I can't believe it. We spent 2 hours, and they can't fix it. So this will give them the benchmarks at home to match, to correct what they do wrong, regardless of their perception.
What are you thinking of selling the device for?
Excuse me?
What do you think of the cost of the device would be?
$250.
$50 to produce it, $250 to sell it. And we're likely to reduce that price as we kind of scale our infrastructure to manufacture. The good thing is our infrastructure to manufacture is extremely scalable because we have a patent pending ability to produce these, and the device itself for the design, it's 3D printable. We have this interesting monolithic design, and we are able to, as we need more of these things, we can basically just piece by piece increase our manufacturing capability, and we're also able to, let's say we get a very specific order for sort of a boutique version of this, it's very easy for us to provide that without spinning up a huge, large-scale, offshore manufacturing that's going to require, a large investment for the tooling.
Who's your target market? Who are you going after, the violinist or the teachers or the schools or all of that?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
It's everyone. So basically, we're selling this not only to the individual players who can use this to help themselves at home. This can also be a great product for teachers and institutions as well. As I mentioned, the golf thing that I got to use, people have this at home, but they use it at this lesson center specifically with an educator who is able there to interpret the data and help you with it. So I think ours is super applicable to basically anyone across the board. I could even see, educational institutions buying fleets of these and using them to gather data, using them to assign homework, using them to track progress, look at their students. They have so many students, they're outnumbered. They can see who their problem children are, how to help them better.
What guards against sharing?
Well, guards against sharing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to use it and you're going to want to break habits, you have to have it to practice. Normally, great pedagogues say the only
But-
days you shouldn't practice when you don't eat.
But could a teacher have just a couple of these and they give them out to whoever's their client at the time and people reuse them? Or schools, for example, many people use the same device. Is there anything that channels a single user so that you know, don't?
Well, a teacher, we would expect, as a teacher, if I had one, I would use it with many students, actually probably most, and so to be able to give them benchmarks, right? So you would have a possibility in the application to record benchmarks, and then you send it to their account. They practice at home, and they follow those parameters. Now, if someone wants to lend out their device, well, then they're not practicing with the device, and they're not breaking habits. It's counterintuitive with I'm buying the device. I'm buying it because I want to improve. But yeah, people can do that. I mean, you can also do it with a computer. He can just lend me his computer.
But to your point, Bill, I think high schools and junior highs and where people are just starting out, this could be a really valuable device to just have 2 or 3 of these in the school while kids are practicing at school, and they could grab it and work it, because the teaching at that level is not going to be really good, real good generally. So this could actually be an accelerant for them to have 2 or 3 of these in every grade, junior high and every high school in America.
Well, it wouldn't matter if more of your revenue was coming off the software. And then I totally lack the imagination to see how you're going to move beyond the bow.
So
Can you
we
address
actually,
that?
our first device was actually for the violin. It's already it's already designed, it's already prepared, everything. It's a thin sheet that covers the fingerboard, and it comes around the side. It variously fixed on it with special glues that are made for instruments, and you place your fingers on the fingerboard. It gives you the counter pressure from the thumb, the pressure of all fingers at the same time. It can track all fingers. Location, I can give you how much you're pressing, where you're moving, if you're vibrating, for you, sir. The width, the speed of vibrato relative to the bow speed. I could actually tell you exactly why you don't sound like high fits. So and then the next stage would be to build it into fingerboards and directly into the frogs of bows.
All right, Sharks. This is, I feel like I went to class, like music class. It's fascinating.
We didn't lose anybody in the audience either. They're all still awake.
I think this is fascinating. It's something that I can't lend much expertise as an investor, other than to maybe give you some feedback on your terms. Like 3% interest is too low for right now. Everything else is actually pretty vanilla. But it's not a deal that I feel comfortable leading or doing, because I lack that expertise.
Okay.
But I'm looking at this young man over there.
Yeah, I want to see more. If I couldn't invest in it, I think I might have other people who could, but I'd love to see more, and maybe even just work with you on a business basis and help you figure out how to market this and how to do your business strategic plan and that kind of stuff. I think we could help you a lot with that sort of thing. So it's obviously, I think it's got a great application.
Thanks.
Stradivarius would be horrified.
The what?
Stradivarius would be horrified.
I don't know.
He might not. He might actually really like it.
Maybe not.
I think somebody's very excited. One of the Sharks is very excited over it. But for me, like Beto, I'm not very familiar with the industry, and for those reasons, I would also not feel totally comfortable, going into it. But yeah, I mean, you guys have a great shark over here, willing to bite. So, congratulations with that.
Thanks.
I'm skeptical. Wait. I'm a little skeptical of the valuation, but they can dicker with that. Two things I do like about what you're doing. One is I think the path to market is very narrow. You only have so many musical instrument retailers or dealers or whatever, and so I think it's going to be easier to crack than markets that are more distributed. And then, like golf, you're going into a market where it's difficult, and the idea that you can spend a little bit more money to make it easier is a very attractive impulse purchase for a lot of people. And I think that works in your favor as well. So I'm pretty positive on it. I'd like to see a lower valuation if I were to come in and back you. But such can be discussed.
Yeah, there you go. You got two sharks that are interested. You know, who knows? Maybe Bill here will take up the violin and give you a run for your money.
We'll make it easy for you.
We will.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Great job, John and Dan. Fantastic presentation. All right. Next up is our final presenters. NMSU graduate student Puya Almasi and Roshira Primadasa, members of Z-Lab, offering an advanced civil infrastructure inspection solution that uses UAV technology and multifunctional structural components. Let's give them a warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, hi again, and let's imagine that you are driving across a bridge, unaware that it is on brink of collapse, so a tragedy waiting to happen due to years of overlooked maintenance and inspection. Have you ever heard of the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh in 2022? Which happened because of the poor maintenance and inspection. You may wonder that there are government departments such as DOT that they are doing regular inspections. So what's the problem? Well, on one side, we have aging infrastructure in the United States, where more than 78,000 of the bridges are defined as functionally obsolete. On the other side, we have traditional inspection methods, which are costly, inaccurate because of the human errors, and we have some safety issues for the inspectors. We are Z-Lab. We are using UAVs integrated with different kinds of cameras and sensors to do the external inspection of the structures fastly, accurately, and safely.
And we use smart embedded sensors that is embedded into the structure and is self-powered, where we will be doing the internal structure inspection using them. Our solution is a full inspection package where we'll be using drones and sensors to collect the data from the structure, which will be fed to a software. And the software will do the assessment and prediction and finally generate a complete report for continuous and remote inspection. According to the competitor analysis that we've done, we've identified that one of the main weaknesses of our competitors is that they do not have a full inspection package like we do. And in addition to that, their methods are highly costly, time-consuming, and energy-intensive.
Our solution includes several innovations. For example, we have our own optimized flight path planning system, which saves more than 50% of energy and time during the inspection. We use self-powered sensors embedded in the structural elements to detect the damage internally. Also, we do continuous monitoring and prediction of the structure's health. And finally, we generate reports using generative AI. So why now? Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law allocated more than $110 billion just to improve the bridges and roads across the United States, which is a great opportunity for us. Then we have the regulations of the DOT, which requires them to inspect the bridge at least every 2 years. And finally, based on our negotiations with DOT and Federal Highway Administration, we noticed a high demand for innovative inspection methods to reduce the cost and enhance the accuracy and speed.
According to the cost analysis that we've done, we identified that the traditional methods take about $6.5 billion to inspect bridges across the US, but our method only costs about 30% of that, costing only $1.8 billion.
So after the first year after the launch, we are only targeting 36 bridges in New Mexico, which is 0.006% of the market with a revenue of $140K. And after getting new clients and more contracts for the third year, we are targeting only 0.1% of the market with a revenue of $2.5 million. We divided our target audience into two categories. On the right side, we have government departments such as DOT, Department of Transportation, DOD, DOE, And on the left side, we have any other construction companies that they want to use our inspection services.
Our solution is twofold. We have a subscription-based model where we will provide the drone sensors and the software to the user, where they will pay a subscription every time they do inspection. We also have a one-time service model where they will request us to do a full inspection of a bridge when they want. According to the SWOT analysis that we've done, we've identified that some of our strengths are improved accuracy, it is a low-cost solution, and it is low energy consuming. One of our weaknesses is that we currently cannot conduct underground inspection. Our opportunities are connections with the Department of Transportation, Biden's bipartisan law, and aging infrastructure. Some of our threats are the existing inspection companies and also regulation alterations.
We started this project by evaluating the feasibility of the solution on May 2023. Z-Lab received $110,000 funding from New Mexico Department of Transportation, and also we received $200,000 from National Science Foundation. We had the chance to win the first place award in Bold Idea Challenge. We are planning to have our soft launch on August 2025, and then we will have the main launch in 2026.
I'm Rashid Premadas, and I'm in charge of the embedded sensors. Puya Almasi in charge of UAVs. We are Z-Lab, and we are PhD students of the Department of Civil Engineering of New Mexico State University. We bring to you a modern solution for next generation civil infrastructure inspection.
So Sharks, today we are asking for $250,000, and in return we are offering 20% discount shares after the third year's valuation. Thank you so much.
Seems like the sensor is a key piece of this. I mean, drones with cameras are common, but tell me about the sensor, how it's powered, how it's going to be embedded.
Okay, so we will 3D print the sensors, and they are completely self-powered. So the sensors will work based on the triboelectric effect, that is the electricity that generates when two materials rub against each other. So when we 3D print these samples, we will be using two materials and which have like different electrostatic potential, so that when it is embedded into the structure as is shown here, for example, taking the rebar, for example, it will be made of two types of materials. We will be embedding this into the structure, and when the structure is undergoing mechanical motion, that is when vehicles are moving on it, when the two materials rub against each other, it will develop electricity, and this developed electricity can be used as a signal. So, according to the laboratory experiments that we've done, as you can see, when it is done for a simple concrete sample, the rebar is embedded into the structure, and there will be a signal developed when it is undergoing deformation. And when there is a sudden failure in the concrete sample, you can see there will be a peak in the signal. So this concept is completely self-powered, and we do not have to provide any external power source to do it. It is just the two materials rubbing against each other that develops the signal.
You say self-powered forever?
Yes. As long as the two materials rub against each other, it develops electricity. It's just basic phenomena of electrostatics. Just like how we rub a cloth against our hair, it develops electricity, similar to that.
So walk me through, like, let's say you take this sensor, you put it in some part of the bridge.
Yes.
Right? Close to the metal or something like that, and then you fly the drone, and that's what gives you the signal or the information on the structural XYZ of that particular bridge. Is that in lay terms sort of what you're collecting by embedding these sensors and then flying the drone to basically capture that data?
Okay, so our method is twofold. That is, we use drones and we use embedded sensors. So the drone does the external inspection of the bridge, determine external damages to the bridge, maybe spalling, corrosion from the outside. The sensors do the internal inspection of the bridge if there are internal cracks of the structure, so that we have a comprehensive method to do an inspection of the entire structure.
Okay. Aren't there some infrastructure projects where the sensors are already embedded natively? Yes. So are you able to check that? Or is that just a different project that someone else is doing?
Yeah, so there are already structures that use embedded sensors, but the problem with these embedded sensors is that, for example, when it comes to like harsh environments, they are not really resistant to the harsh environments, plus an external power source has to be provided to these sensors. So when there is, for example, when there is an power cut, when there is an electricity cut, these sensors cease to work, or if they are provided with an external power source, for example, like a temporary generator or a battery, if that runs out, the sensor stops working. So in our case, our sensors are embedded into the structure. They are self-powered, and they do continuous monitoring. So every time, every second, every minute, it monitors the health of the structure. So whenever there is a small failure in the structure, it just gives an alarm to the user that there is a problem with the structure. It is continuous monitoring and remotely.
And let me add this for the UAV that we will be using different cameras, not only RGB cameras, so LiDAR cameras and thermal cameras, and we can detect different types of damage, corrosion, spalling, cracks, and the detections will be based on the regulations of the Federal Highway Administration in compliance with the National Bridge Inventory Standards.
So then you take that data, and I presume you're going to have proprietary software that analyzes XYZ based on those standards, and then you provide a proprietary report, correct?
Exactly. Right. So we do not have to provide the data to the software. It happens automatically once we do the inspection. For example, the sensor, it provides a continuous feedback to the software. It provides all the data, and the software automatically assesses and predicts the health of the structure.
Okay.
Even in the software, everything is included, so it is from 0 to hero. So even we don't need to plan for the flight path of the drone, or even we don't need to find the best point to embed the sensors. The software will automatically find the optimum locations.
Okay. Can you go back to the slide where you have kind of the revenue ramp up? Yeah, I think it's that one. So how far are you in year one? Do you have any pre-negotiated relationship with the 36 bridges already?
Yeah, so right now we are getting funding from the NMDOT, and at the end of the project, we will train the crews to use our software and to use the drones. So basically, we will be responsible for the bridge, at least in District 2 of the New Mexico. And it is worth mentioning that just in New Mexico, we have 4,000 bridges. So this first year goal, 36 bridge, we already did 12, 13 bridges just for the experiments.
Okay. I'll cede some time to the other sharks. I've asked a lot of questions.
Thank you.
I do have a serious question, but I have to get this out of the way. Did anybody here expect one of them to morph into one of the aliens from Men in Black at some point? I was totally distracted by that. And then I'll invest if I can get the hair that either one of you has. That's out of the way, but is anything patentable here? Can you get a patent on the sensors, or do you have a patent on the sensors?
We are currently working on it. There is, our advisor already has a provisional patent filed for the embedded sensors, and so after we finalize everything, we'll be filing for the next patent.
I would suggest that you look at selling the sensors simply because the capability to monitor could be added easily later on. I mean, it would seem like if I were building new infrastructure and I wanted the ability for the next 40 years for it to be able to communicate as state, that I would want to embed the devices if I don't have to maintain them. Seems like a reasonable cost to pick up front to have that capability for decades.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get your question.
Sorry, that wasn't a question.
Oh,
that was
right,
just a comment that,
right, yeah.
you know,
Exactly, yeah.
you instead of selling only an integrated service,
Right.
that you ought to consider just selling the sensors.
Right.
So that they can add monitoring later if they wish to.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is that, as we mentioned, we have two kinds of product. So in the first type, they will just buy the sensors, the software, everything. But they will pay money per bridge they are going to inspect. In the second method, yeah, they can ask us to embed the sensors, to use the UAVs, to use the software, but we will only have the access to the data of the sensors.
Have you guys spoken with any lawyers or anybody in regards to the liability of a sensor failure?
Not currently. We have not spoken to any lawyers currently.
I think I like the idea, and I would like to stay in contact with you guys after you guys discuss liabilities with them. Just because in the event that one of the sensors does failure, who does that fall back on? How would that be, you guys or you know, the actual DOT?
The DOT is responsible for everything. Yes. Even if they have contractors to inspect the bridge, the contractors are just giving them the reports based on the MBI, but DOT is responsible for everything.
Are you guys an actual company, like a C Corp or an LLC?
No,
No, we are not currently a company, so we are a lab at Arrowhead University.
Okay.
It is named under the name Z Lab.
Okay.
And yeah, we are currently planning to start a company as a startup.
When are you done with your PhDs, and is this something you're going to do full-time?
We will be done in one and a half years.
1.5
maximum.
years. Yeah,
So-
both of us.
Okay. And then what do you do? You do this full-time or?
Yeah, so that's the plan, yeah, so to start working on this
Yeah.
full
Okay.
time. So currently we are doing the research related to this.
So I'm interested, but I'm not interested in giving you money and then figuring out what the valuation years in year 3. I don't operate that way, right? Like I want to know what I own now. So I'd be open to structuring a deal, and we have relationships with a number of specific venture funds that do infrastructure technology. They do vision technology, so potentially bringing one of those as a partner, and certainly would offer it to any of the sharks that might want to, you know, if we come to terms, what that looks like. But I think you're tackling on something that's very important. I wish you were doing it in the ocean and not just, you know, with bridges. But I do think this is something that's a real problem, and you have what could be a viable solution. So, subject to really figuring out the terms and what one is investing in. I'm not investing in a project. I'd have to invest in a company and own actual shares of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have interest in what you're doing as well, but I think the drone is too much of a commodity and too hard to scale and so forth, but the potential of the sensor, if it just becomes standard to be embedded, or if regulations started mandating that the ability to sense should be part of our infrastructure or something like that, then you could be sitting on a gold mine. I'd actually be more interested if you were just focused on the sensor without the drone part.
It's worth mentioning that right now the DOTs are changing their regulations, and they will be required to use drones later for their inspections, to do it fastly. Right now they are doing it each 2 years, but the structure is aging, so they need to do it, for example, each 6 months, and they are short in the crew, even they are hiring co-ops from the universities.
Yeah, but my point is if you're doing drones, you're involving labor, and you're involving employees and people to run them and so forth. Whereas if your sensors took off as a kind of a requirement in infrastructure, you wouldn't have much scaling to do. You just patent it, manufacture them, sell them, or license it to somebody. Much easier to scale.
Right.
Thank you.
I do believe we are at time, so sharks?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Great job. Great presentation. All right. It's time for the sharks to select their favorite venture. The Shark Tank is it's buzzing. It's feeding frenzy. As a reminder, the Shark Favorite Award will receive $5,000. And the Arrowhead Center staff, they're waiting around. We actually go underwater when we leave stage, so they're back there swimming. But it's time to cast your vote, because the Arrowhead Founders Award is valued at $2,000. And while the Sharks and staff cast their vote, I want to ask you, our audience, to please select your favorite student entrepreneurs. As seen above, You can scan the QR code and select your favorite student entrepreneur. You can also find the QR code in your program if you can't zoom in enough on your phone or anything like that. The winner of the crowd favorite award is going to receive $1,000. That winner is in your hands. The contestants are clapping backstage. I don't know how well that's coming out over here. They're excited. So, while our sharks deliberate, let's welcome back our student entrepreneurs so you can see how hyped they are. Come on out. Great job, everybody. Big round of applause for Moen, founder of WaterSpeccy, offers a portable solution for detecting heavy metal contamination in water, empowering users to understand their water quality. Also, we have John Noel, founder of Project Maldonado. Again, to remind you, it's a pioneering company focused on the development of customizable 3D printed orthopedic medical devices. We have Arat and Madison, co-founders of Clean, and their groundbreaking testing device that identifies harmful chemicals in everyday products. I could use that for all the conditioner that I use. John and Dan, co-founders of Tactus, specializing in the development of sophisticated progress tracking device for string instruments. And Puya and Roshira, members of Z-Lab, which you just heard, but to remind you, offering an advanced civil infrastructure inspection solution using UAV technology and multifunctional structural components. So also, I mean, while we're applauding, let's hear it for the Sharks. Got some gift bags. And, Beto, how'd you like the presentations? I've been standing on stage next to you for years. How were they?
They're really good. I mean, I really think it just shows the variety and breadth of talent in our region from students and folks affiliated with the universities here. And all of them tackling different problems with different levels of technical backgrounds and whatnot. So I think that's great. I mean, it shows a bright future for the region.
I agree. It was fantastic this year. Bill, how was your first Shark Tank experience?
I enjoyed it. It's good to see the ideas. Be happy to help, if I can.
Great. Well, thank you for spending your time with us. Isaac, any advice you have for not only the entrepreneurs on stage, but any hopeful entrepreneurs in the audience?
Yeah, I think just any ideas that's innovative, go for it, right? Oftentimes we stop ourselves, and that's what stops innovation. So I think just if you have an idea and you yourself think that it's a good one, then go for it. Have that first step, and then who knows, you might be the next Amazon. So.
I love that advice. There's so much talk these days about like the danger of overthinking. Maybe there's something to be said for underthinking. Just go for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, get some seat time. And Chuck, how about you? How did you enjoy your Shark Tank experience?
This is great. Yeah, I really appreciate all of you putting the time and energy into what you're doing and the passion. I love it. My suggestion would be for all of you and for anyone who's pitching anybody, spend a little more time on profit and loss, break-evens, the numbers. Numbers are the language of business, and I think inventors and entrepreneurs tend to be really passionate about what they want to do and how they want to impact the world around them. And if you add to that, here's how much somebody can make doing that, that's going to make it more attractive to them. So I know it's hard to do that this early on, but give it your best shot. Throw something together, because you get what you intend and not what you hope for. So intend to have this kind of profit on this kind of revenue, and that would be a good place to go. But yeah, thank you. This was wonderful.
Well, thank you to all of our sharks who really appreciate it. Let's hear it for our sharks, everyone. And let's hear it for our presenters. They did a great job, put a lot of work into this. I don't think I'm allowed to move because I just got handed winners. So I'm gonna stand right here. No one look. No one look. Also, a huge thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate it. All right, so the votes are in. We're going to start with the Crowd Favorite Award. And the winner of the Crowd Favorite of $1,000 is Z-Lab. Congratulations. You can add being handed a giant check by a shark to your resume. That is a rare one. Not everyone has that. All right. As for the votes that you all just sent in, the winner of the Arrowhead Founders Award is Tactus. All right. That just leaves the shark favorite. The winner is Tactus. Once again. Congratulations. Wonderful work. Let's hear it for all our presenters one more time. And a special thanks to the Hunt Center for Entrepreneurship for their sponsorship of the Aggie Shark Tank and Arrowhead programs. Please, everyone, stick around, meet the students, have some refreshments in the lobby. Make sure to take a selfie with Mark the Shark. Mark, get back out here. Take a picture with this lovely shark. Use the hashtag Aggie Shark Tank on social media. We can't wait to see all of your posts. Thank you so much. Have a great night.